Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to another live episode of the O&G StrikeZone. I'm Brian Fulford, joined by my Rattler brothers, Kelvin Rozier and Marcus Green, and it's good to be on with you on another beautiful Wednesday evening, the third day of May, my favorite month of the year, without saying. So it's good to be on with you guys. Kelvin, how you doing tonight? No, don't do it. He's fired it up. Well, you go ahead. You got some new toys over there that you just itching to play with. I can tell.
I'm good. I'm good, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
No, man, it's all good, man. I'm glad to be with the guys.
All right. We'll see if that internet connection holds for you over there. Marcus, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Pondering philosophies and stuff. If orange is the new black.
Orange is the new black.
If orange is the new black, does that mean that FAMU shorts are the new black Air Force Ones?
Deep thoughts with Marcus Green. Might be a new segment we need to be thinking about, Kelvin. Deep thoughts with Marcus Green. Just kind of start running those as little intros coming back from commercial breaks.
Yeah, my man at the grocery store. I don't know if you saw that clip. Had on the FAMU shorts.
Woo.
Acting like he had some black Air Force Ones on.
Hey. Give him some that right. Say that N word again. Say it again.
You're going to learn today. Hey, the funniest part of that whole video, and those who haven't seen the video, you know if you've seen it. there's a guy who just randomly, I feel like he just randomly throws an orange at the guy. Did you know who I'm talking about? The guy who's like in a pink salmon shirt or something like that. He, for whatever reason, he knew that the dude was wrong, and for some reason I don't know what he threw. It looked like he threw an orange or an apple or some kind of produce at the dude as he fell. Now the dude had already hit him, and knocked him to the ground. And then he just kind of throws an orange at him. Like, yeah, man, stay down. What's wrong with you, dude? We don't do that here. And it's the funniest thing. Like, when videos like that happen, I'm always watching everybody else. After you watch it the first couple times, I can watch that thing 5 times and see something different. Like the dude, like when the dude slapped him upside the head. He really slapped him, but he just kind of hit him on the back of the head like, you knucklehead, you going to learn today. And I just am like, bro, really? Did you just do that? But anyway, man, I mean, God, that's like my fear. I'm more triggered about.
Well, shopping is a pleasure.
Yeah, the Publix is supposed to be a great place to go. Not be in the back of the seafood section, getting called out getting called out your name and having to be in a viral moment. Jesus, man. Anybody who knows that brother, shout him out. I don't know if he's just a Rattler or a fan, but if he strikes me as family. So if somebody knows that brother in that video, shout him out. Maybe he doesn't want to be shot. You gotta be careful about these viral videos. Anyway, welcome to the O&G Strike Zone. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at O&G StrikeZone. You can also download the show if you go to the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. You can download the show, and the show we're happy to be on. Kenneth Rozier, first one to jump in the chats there. What up, Rozier? That might be somebody there, Kelvin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. B Starks jumps in as well. Good evening to you, B Starks. Good to see you. Mary 305 is always happy to see you. And always Chuck Hunt, always one of the top 5 to get in. Chuck, good evening from Monroe, Louisiana. Good evening, Chuck. Melissa Wilson also jumping in. Good evening, Melissa. Hello, Tamara T. Also jumping in. Meredith jumps in as well. So good to see Rattlers, from far and wide jumping in early on the show. We got a lot to talk about today. Coming up, I'll set the guest lineup. Coming up at the bottom of hour number 1, we're going to talk to a former FAMU quarterback, former NFL quarterback, a Hall of Famer, and the current head coach at Albany State, Coach Quinn Gray, is going to help us kind of dissect a little bit of what we saw this past weekend. Excuse me. What's interesting, guys, on a draft where it was a historic draft day. Think about it. We had 3 black quarterbacks drafted as the first 3 quarterbacks. Picks 1, 2, and 4. Historic day, right? On the heels of also two African-American black quarterbacks signing major contracts within a 72-hour period. One of them signing the biggest contract just earlier that day. And for us, in our world, right, it's I'm going to use the word tragedy, because that's what it felt like to a lot of people, that only one HBCU player among the 11 FCS players were drafted. Isaiah Bolden from out of Jackson State in the 7th round. And so it left us shocked, needless to say. So, Kelvin, Marcus, I'll bring the first question to you of the night. At what point were you sort of alarmed or nervous or just kind of in shock as you watched the draft about the prospects of our guys or just the low turnout numbers for HBCU players? Kelvin?
I wasn't surprised. I didn't anticipate anybody into the fifth round anyway. Uh, but I was surprised after the fifth round ended that no one had been drafted. Only because I understand that Isaiah was considered a tweener because he was a little light. Um, but I thought he did everything he needed to do. He checked a lot of boxes. He was a national player of the year. He went to the combine and he went to the Reese's Bowl and by all accounts played well. And I mean, he has that 6'4" frame, accolade. He had a pretty clean record, background, personality, all that good stuff. So he checked a lot of boxes, and he had a lot of people vouching for him. So I mean, we HBCU folks weren't the only ones surprised by him not getting drafted. I mean, you had a lot of NFL folks who were questioning that. Now, so that was surprising. I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't know about the. I know he was rated higher. But the guy from the offensive lineman, Mark Evans from Pine Bluff.
UAPB.
Yeah, I had not seen him pop. Usually when a guy is projected to draft, you've seen where on film, he's put it on film, right? I don't know where that guy put
We're getting sniped today. Marcus, why don't you? Oh, go ahead.
Hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you now. You were kind of coming out a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. So it didn't surprise me, except for Isaiah. I would say is the only not getting drafted at all was a surprise. And but if you look historically at what the NFL has done over the last 4 years, and there was a lot of folks who pointed this out. The FCS just got locked out. Period. It wasn't just HBCUs.
Right.
So, unfortunately, the bias is real.
Marcus, your thoughts?
Well, similar to Kelvin, I was surprised that at the very least Mark Evans and Isaiah didn't get drafted at all on day 3. I just kind of speculated there'd be day 3, and we've seen historically that even players from Power 5 and FBS, they catch a twinkle in some of the scouts and some of the GM's eyes. So you kind of know that they may not be, I guess they have potential, but they may not have had the numbers, but they have the film against competition, and I guess they have something that would allow them to be drafted. But I was really surprised that so many of some of the HBCU prospects turned out to be undrafted free agents. I was a little disappointed in that. But one thing I know we've talked about and mentioned in various circles is that, well, I mean, the NFL can play that waiting game, even if someone is talented, and we see that the Cowboys 2 years in a row got FAMU undrafted free agents, and some of the top players we've had come through the program in the last probably 10 years or so or more. But the economics of the NFL, when you start giving away big contracts, you have to fill in spots on a more economic basis. And using undrafted free agents, and even if you can get HBCU talent, whether someone doesn't value as much, but if you can get talent that other teams don't value at low cost, you have to balance out your salary cap somehow with talent, or you're going to lose talent. So if you're dedicating 10-15% of your salary cap to a quarterback, and then you add it to the defensive end and all the other expensive positions, then you have to get talent somehow. So even if the market drives HBCU and FCS prospects to the undrafted free agent pool, that still allows them to, by not getting drafted, it allows the teams to get some degree of quality talent at low cost.
So despite not being drafted as we thought, especially for Isaiah, he does end up with the Cowboys, who, I think that's a good landing place for him, especially given the fact that they just, they picked up Marquise Bell the year before. There's an opportunity in who's the coordinator at the former Falcons coach, Dan Quinn.
And Quinn.
Isn't he the DC? Yeah.
Yeah, he's the defensive coordinator, and he's got a track record of kind of getting tweeners like from Bruce Irvin and gosh, I can't remember the other guy's name, but developing tweeners. And Vic Beasley, when he's with the Falcons head coach, he was kind of a smallish linebacker and turned him into a rush linebacker. I mean, they both did well in college and piqued some interest, but he got a little bit out of Vic Beasley and he got a lot out of Bruce Irvin.
So and just going and looking at what the a lot of the people who follow the Cowboys and their initial thoughts on the undrafted class, Isaiah was definitely one of the ones they liked. They had rated high, and I think everybody was talking about his tweener, being that tweener and being able to find out. But also, I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's another 10 to 15 pounds that they're hoping to add on to Isaiah. Because in looking at and another thing, I think Isaiah is younger by about a year, maybe a year and a half, than some of the other people who were signed. There were a lot of 24-year-old guys that were signed, and a lot of those, we talked about the impact of COVID. There's a lot of older guys who picked up undrafted free agent contracts. So I think, they've seen his ability to keep 20 pounds on over the past month and a half since the end of the season to the combines and so forth. And then I think that will yield a positive for him if they add another 10, 15 on him, right? Because I'm sure they will want him to get a little bit bigger. Now, Xavier Smith was interesting because I don't know if Xavier Smith was actually going to get drafted. I mean, the height was really behind him, especially with the Steve Smith stuff and the NFL.com stuff. So I don't know if he necessarily was a draft guy, but again, with the intangibles of his body of work and his framework, he went to the perfect spot, I think, because excuse me, I'll point out to anybody who had a chance to listen to the HBCU Nightly broadcast on Saturday night. KJ Black, former FAMU passing game coordinator, I believe is what he was when he was with us.
Mm-hmm. Co-offensive coordinator.
Co-OC, went to the Rams. Now I think this is his second year. He just finished his second year with them. He mentioned that he was working with the wide receivers and scouting wide receivers. Well, hey, bingo. He knows Xavier. He knows his body of work, which there were people in the room who did not know Xavier's body of work. You know what I'm saying? And I will just say, hearing him talk about and advocating for Xavier and just the lack of knowledge that a lot of people seem to have, a lot of scouts. Like, a lot of scouts are coming around to HBCUs. How many did FAMU have recently? I mean, we had, 30-something?
24? I think it was 23, 24, I thought I just recalling that.
I thought it was more than that. But okay, you might be right. Maybe it was the year before when there was some. But it's a lot of people coming to HBCUs and making the HBCU tour, but either they're just checking a box on the tour, or they really there's a disconnect. So when we talk about guys getting signed as undrafted free agents, I ask you guys, 17 were signed as undrafted free agents. That's a +5 from a year ago. Is signing undrafted free agents the way for more guys, more than ever in the NFL? Is that going to be the way?
So, Brian, talent-wise, you would have thought that guys would have got a little bit more. The guys who were draft eligible from HBCUs would have got a little more play because of how well the guys performed last year. You look at Durant with the Rams and Houston with the Detroit Lions, and Joshua Williams with Kansas City Chiefs. The HBCU guys who got an opportunity and were drafted, they produced immediately. So you would have thought that given that track record, that the guys who had the numbers and stuff would have gotten the opportunity without having to go undrafted free agent. But that's just not how it works, to be honest. And I add one more thing to it. We talk about the bias of those who doing evaluating and not having the access. That is true. What is also true, and this is a hard truth here, is that it is difficult to evaluate talent when we only play against each other, right? So outside of a few schools, a lot of HBCUs, they only play against each other. Well, there's not a lot of draft eligible talent in that scenario. So, it's difficult to project. The future ain't that great. Sometimes there's individual coaching. The coaching is pretty good, but honestly, what it boils down to me more than anything is how much we put into our programs. The difference between the FBS and the FCS. We talk about Isaiah being a tweener. Well, if he had a better nutrition program and we supported him better, then that he probably wouldn't have been a tweener. He probably would have been 20, 25 pounds heavier. So, it's things like that. We being HBCU athletic administration, universities, and fans, we have to do more with more. It goes back to that. Also, those D1 schools, they have more coaches and more grad assistants. So they get individual attention to detail. So all those things matter. And so I think HBCUs have to do more to support their student athletes so they can be better evaluated also.
I'm glad before you jump in there, Marcus, I'm glad you finished what your comment on that on that line, Kelvin, because I was initially, when you said you thought that a lot of guys, like 4 guys got drafted last year, and I think that's when you try to compare 4 to 1 this year, it's not the same. Because really what we found out is that those 4 guys were very unique because of certain factors, whether it be their measurables, which is largely it, or their performance against Power 5 programs, right? So this year, the one guy who had the unique measurable was what? A guy who was 6'2", ran a 4.3, could play DB and be special teams.
And played at Florida State.
And he played at Florida State, right.
Right.
Yep. And of the 3 last year, or the 4 last year, I don't remember the 4th, but of the 3, James Houston was the only one that was an FBS transfer.
Right. So, needless to say, the guys from this year, obviously, there was the miss by Isaiah Land. Didn't get an opportunity to show what he could do against North Carolina. That sucked, and then he only played 8 games during the year. Anyone can tell you this year was not the same for Isaiah Land as it was last year. Now, who knows? If Isaiah Land would have came out last year, would he have been drafted? Who knows, Because you either have to, from what I'm hearing, and this is what it'll be great to kind of talk to Coach Gray about later on at the bottom of the hour. It sounds like, and we all have to be smart about how we talk about this, right? Because I don't want it to get lost when we talk about our world of HBCUs. Let's not miss out on the fact, again, historic day for the NFL draft, right? 3 black quarterbacks were drafted. That's huge. Then, okay, now we talk about at this level and what it means. And I'm sorry, when guys don't get opportunities against the big names, the big teams, and they don't have these unique measurables, it becomes really tough at the HBCU level to get drafted. Doesn't mean they won't get an undrafted free agent contract. which nowadays, it's paying it's good money. If you make the team, it's paying good money, you know, and so that's where I think we all have to come away. And then, yes, the things that we can control, like you just said, Kelvin, being more helpful in terms of building up the nutrition table. We've heard Coach Simmons talk about the nutrition table for how many years now? For about
Since he been here.
since he got there, right? We didn't really understand the impact of that, but now, guess what? Now we hear and see, because we finally had somebody who possibly was really impacted by the fact that FAMU doesn't have the great nutrition table that another school might have. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Marcus, jump in there with a thought there off of the undrafted free agents, and I want to kind of hit and see what guys are talking about in the chat room. Go ahead.
Well, like I was saying earlier, for undrafted free agents, and I've seen the last 2 or 3 years where once you get to the later rounds, like 6th or 7th, that some advocate going the undrafted free agent route because you have an option. You have options in terms of teams vying for your attention, and you get different offers versus getting drafted in 6th or 7th round, and you may go to a team that is looking to build depth, but they may already have some people stacked at that position. So you can almost choose the best opportunity for you from a positional standpoint, because you can examine the rosters and figure out who's left, who do they have, who's a free agent, who's departing, all that type stuff, some of which you may or may not know at the time. As far as that being the route, I mentioned a little bit earlier about teams are looking to get diamonds in the rough because they're looking to kind of balance out the scale with top-heavy salaries and key positions. But also to Kelvin's point, we have some things we need to address, and it's kind of a combination of things in terms of the exposure and awareness of certain scouts, and it's great that Coach Black was in the room advocating for Xavier Smith. We don't have a whole lot of that. And we don't know to what degree we have that. And even the coaches that are there who are the same demographic as us, we don't know to what degree they have relationships with HBCUs. And given everything that's happened over the last 50 years as it relates to integration in sports, we have fewer and fewer, or actually more, going through the PWI standpoint and building careers that way. So that's what their experience and exposure happens to be. So we have an uphill battle there. And also as it relates to the preparation for the athletes themselves. In terms of, so their frame of reference could be, well, Isaiah Land, he's a physical specimen. But if he would have gone to Alabama or if he would have gone to UCLA, would he be the same weight? I mean, he may have the same physical traits as it relates to his speed, his quickness off the ball, and those things, and height, things that are inherent. But in terms of development, their frame of reference, once again, is the developmental programs, nutrition, and everything else compared to what HBCUs can do. So if they see that someone is a diamond in the rough and could have developed even more had they gone to this program, that's another bias, probably unconscious bias, but an unconscious bias that, hey, this guy, if he would have gone to XYZ school that's playing FBS, that has a program in place and all the support and infrastructure and financial to build him up, then I would project him at this round versus the stage of development coming out of an HBCU, and I can't pound on the table for him, or I can't if I compare. So there's a lot of things that go into it, and I'm speculating, but I'm just kind of bouncing off of what Kelvin was saying, was that there's some areas of improvement if we wish to, in the HBCU programs, if we wish to counterbalance any of the negative things. And at some point, there has to be a meeting of our convergence, not only what HBCUs can do, but a release of the inherent biases that some of the scouting community has as it relates to HBCU players. So it can't all just be on HBCUs, and it can't all just be on the NFL.
Two quick things I wanna add. Again, I have to emphasize to you, and I didn't get time to really kind of paste it into today's show, but if you can go find from HBCU Nightly on Twitter, their Twitter Space episode 45. The fact that we have somebody who is from our world
in the room
recently.
KJ
in the room,
right? He was in the room, because that is one of the greatest mysteries of all this. I can read down this Twitter thread from Jim Trotter. Great thoughts here, but we're guessing. A lot of us are guessing, trying to get, and yeah, we talked to a few people, but to actually hear it on record, to hear him talk about how this process is working and playing out, and I think he smartly did it in a way that I don't think it compromised his organization or anything that he does, but just something to make people think about. That is valuable, because it makes you say, while scouts, we expect these scouts to come around, and do the scouts really care about these players? Do the GMs? Do the owners? Because they seem to be fascinated with, and I've said this before, the Power Five, the 64, 65, the 5 major conferences, that is the minor league for the NFL. I don't care. You can't convince me anything otherwise. When 10 Alabama and 10 Georgia guys can go, and I don't know how many in total SEC guys and Big Ten guys go, that is their minor leagues, and they don't always make it. Shoot, I'm not saying that they all make the cut, but we're just talking about getting drafted. Getting that sort of validation. That validation is really
access. Just having access, and to that point, I want to point out that Kamara Stevens has put himself in the
Don't go. Yeah, don't jump the gun. Don't jump the gun there with that one yet. Hold on. Let's hold that one for a second. I know where you want to go. Let's do this. Let's take a break, because I don't want to leave Coach Gray in the waiting room for long. We got him up, so we're going to take a short 2-minute break. Come back with Coach Quinn Gray. We're going to get a chance to talk to somebody who's been in the NFL. He signed as an undrafted. He worked his way through the system, and I'm sure he has lots of thoughts to share. And so we get a chance to hear from the Hall of Famer coming up on the other side. You guys hang in there with us. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com. welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Brian, Kelvin, Marcus, and it's a pleasure to have on the coach. And let me backtrack. Let me give him his props in order. Former FAMU quarterback, former NFL cornerback, MEAC Hall of Famer, FAMU Hall of Famer, and currently the head coach of Albany State Rams, Coach Quinn Gray. Coach, how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Coach, it's good to be on. Good to be on. Coach, you got any extra light in that room? We wanna shine a light on you as much as possible.
Yeah, I just told my wife to turn on the light because I saw it was a little bit dark. You know, us dark skinned brothers have to have
You beat me to it, Coach.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, hey, in worst case, it'll work for the podcast on the BCSN Pod Zone in the audio format. So it's all good. It's all good. So hey, let's kind of start with. Let me just kind of ask how you were doing. How was spring football for you? You came in, really didn't have lots of time to sort of get everything in order. But how was spring? Let us know how spring was for you.
Spring was good, man. I think for us as a staff, we really didn't know what to expect coming in. Obviously, as a first time staff being together, and also me being the first time head coach. But I think for me, being places that I've been over the last several years and the experience that I've gotten from several coaches that I've been over allowed me to transition pretty smooth. But the kids were excited about the new direction that we're headed in at Albany State. And, for me, that was an easy part. The kids bought in fairly early. Everything that we did almost was different in what they've done in the past. And the changes that we've made, they were very, very open to. So we had a lot of fun doing spring ball, man. Kids weren't used to necessarily. Oh wow, baby, that's a little bright. But it's the kids bought in. They had fun this spring. We got a lot of stuff accomplished this spring, and then the most important thing is we stayed healthy. So with that, we're going into the summer, into the fall healthy, with a very good idea of who's going to be doing what, along with some guys that we'll bring in this summer. And then after that, we'll hit the ground running as soon as we're able to, because we play fairly early with the first game against Wingate on August 31st.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, we're looking forward to following you. I know myself and my folks with the Black College Sports Network, I know we're excited about following Albany State and everybody in the SIAC this upcoming year. Okay, so obviously the NFL draft just happened this past weekend. Let's start with just your general thoughts or surprises, or maybe not surprised at all from what you saw after the weekend for not only just HBCU players, but FCS players that were drafted or not drafted.
I actually thought, first of all, like you said, it was a historic day with 3 African-American quarterbacks going in the top 5 picks. That is big. It's never happened. Will it ever happen again? I hope so, but it's probably going to be a long time before that happens again. And it just shows you the changes that are happening in the game of football on the NFL level. There's just no way these days with the speed of the defensive players that a quarterback can just be a sitting duck in the pocket anymore. You have to be athletic. You have to be able to maneuver in the pocket and then be able to use your legs to make plays these days. So, that is very indicative of how the draft went this past Saturday. But, on the note of the FCS and the HBCUs, for me, over the years, man, it's been frustrating. Myself, several other HBCU players that have gone to the NFL and proven that we're worthy of the opportunities that we get. And you would think with the proof in the pudding of guys like myself, Bully Bob Hayes, all these guys that came from FAMU, other HBCUs that are actual Hall of Famers. We got several Hall of Famers, guys in the Hall of Fame from HBCUs and the NFL Hall of Fame. So, with that, you would think that some of these GMs, some of these scouts would be more open to drafting HBCU players because they've proven themselves over the years. As I put a tweet out over the weekend after the draft, man, it's actually a travesty that every year we have to prove ourselves as free agents. There's just no way to me, and there's just no way the best defensive player in the FCS just a year prior just doesn't get drafted. That's unheard of. If you go back over the years and look, players that were players of the year in the FCS on the defensive side, on the offensive side, 9 times out of 10 got drafted. Where they got drafted, I don't know. It don't matter. But 9 times out of 10 they got drafted and was given the opportunity to see their name go across the screen. Because at the end of the day, as you guys have said, everybody wants to see their name go across the screen, that screen. But as we know, when that 4th, 5th round ends, it's almost like don't draft me. Because the advice that I got when I was coming out, I had a 5th, 6th round grade, but I also knew that if the 5th round came and I wasn't drafted, that and as bad as it may sound, you hope not to get drafted. And yet I listened to him, but I didn't want to hear that because, like, again, everybody want to see that name go across the screen and all that good stuff. But fortunately for me, the 6 teams that were interested in me and the 5 that called during the 7th round, I had my choice of which opportunity gave me the best chance to make an opening day roster, which opportunity gave me the best chance to go in and learn quickly and be able to pick up a system that I felt I could run coming from FAMU that was a wide open offense. And we didn't huddle. So it was who was going to help me develop the fastest. And obviously for me, that choice was Jacksonville, closer to home, coaches that I was familiar with because they came and worked me out. So with that, man, moving forward, I just sincerely hope that these GMs and these scouts are able to see the value in our young men that are playing on the HBCU level because they are deserving. And that's just the bottom line. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. I got a corner here at Albany State that, and there's no doubt that he should be given an NFL opportunity once his time is up. Because, coming down there to play against FAM, a couple of times they went at him and all that good stuff, Jari Turner and all that good stuff. They tried to go at him a few times. And then on the Division II level, it ain't too many people that caught passes on him this last year or so. So for me, it's important for me as a head coach and a guy that's been there to promote that. Obviously, there's not a whole lot that I could do besides, when they call, make sure I'm talking him up because he's a great kid and all that good stuff. But, it's still up to those 32 general managers and those hundreds of scouts to come out and do their due diligence and see him play. Obviously, there's only a number of scouts in and around the country, but they have to do their due diligence and coming to see the talent that's all around the HBCU scope. But at the end of the day, man, I sincerely hope something changes. Because again, over the last couple of years, as we saw, the guys that have been drafted from HBCUs are Division I FBS transfers. So it's not like they're drafting HBCU talent. They're drafting what we call kickback talent from FBS schools. So, until they recognize the ball that we play, and like Roger said, we do get in a little bit of a situation with only playing each other on the schedule. So, there are some things that we do to ourselves that we don't necessarily help our guys. So, that this all goes back to when Isaiah was talking about transferring last year. And now you see why he had that thought. You know what I mean? Obviously, you hope that with this draft, that thought and that situation doesn't happen throughout the landscape of HBCU football. But when you look at it, can you blame them? You know what I mean? So our guys want to get the same opportunities that these other guys are getting on the FBS level. And hopefully with the play of these guys that are getting these free agent opportunities, they go out there and make a name for themselves and make these teams, then they'll hopefully open the eyes of these GMs and these scouts to know that, okay, these guys are deserving of the draft picks that we have each and every year. And unfortunately, they ain't got to that point yet, and hopefully they will, because this draft been going on a long time. And if they ain't got to that point yet, man, you got to ask yourself, will they ever get there?
Good point. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So, Coach, what's the takeaway for this? You have someone like Amari Stevens at FAMU, who's a returning All-American. You have Gaddy out at Jackson State, guys that have jumped in the portal, haven't seen 2 years straight that, like, the two best defensive players in HBCU didn't get drafted. What is the takeaway for HBCU players, and what do you tell those players?
You know what, man? You get that old adage of, man, you just got to keep working. You got to keep putting in the work, working harder to make sure that, you know, whatever you do, you try to outdo whatever somebody else did that didn't give them the opportunity. But at what point, man, we all human. At what point does a college student athlete see Isaiah Land go win the best defensive player in the country and still not get drafted? As a coach, how do I tell one of my players that, you know, you're gonna do better than that? You know what I mean? You're gonna get drafted, just keep working. But the best player in HBCU, not only HBCU, but the best player in HBCU and FCS football doesn't get drafted. I mean, as a coach, what do you say to that? You know, I truly don't have the words. I guess I ain't been coaching long enough to have the words for that. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we were just talking about this morning in our recruiting meeting, man. To me, I think it's a situation where it goes back to finances. It goes back to people giving back to the HBCUs. It goes back to endowments. If we got the money to build and give our kids the foundations and the facilities that they're looking for, we might not have this problem. You know what I mean? And we can upgrade our facilities at HBCUs with the academics that we're able to offer. Not only that, the academics, the social life, and all that good stuff that we're able to offer at HBCUs, our top kids will come back to HBCUs. And then when our top kids come back to HBCUs, guess what come with it? Sponsorships, NIL deals, money from the big networks. So it goes back to us as HBCU alums. You know, it's hard for us to look ourselves in the mirror and say, oh, we got a part in that. You know, despite what we may think, despite what others may see or may feel, we have a part in that. We may say it's the NFL, we may say this, we may say that, but at the end of the day, if we're giving our student athletes the same opportunities for facilities and things like that they'll get from those bigger schools, they'll come back, because we offer a lot more than the PWIs would in terms of culture, atmosphere, and things of that magnitude. It's almost like, you know, I don't like bringing them up a whole bunch, but it's when Deion went to Jackson, he said he ain't never been around 70,000 of his folks. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing for these student athletes. If they can get around 60, 70,000 of our folks and see that, and along with the Marching 100 and all the other bands playing, it's a different day in college football. So we have to look ourselves in the mirror when it comes down to providing things for our universities and giving these kids the opportunity to see some of the same things that they would see at these FBS schools. Because if we had that stuff, those kids would definitely be back at our HBCUs. And then when those better athletes play at the HBCUs, that brings in revenue to the school and the program. So, you know, with that, we got to take some blame.
Good point. Good point. Marcus, go ahead. Jump in there.
How you doing, Coach?
Doing well, man.
All right, I got a couple. I'm trying to pick which one, but I guess we'll go along on the theme. I might try to double up for the sake of time. Two separate questions. Now, you mentioned what I call the specter of the portal, the P5s in the NFL. And I guess what I'm thinking is we see, you know, with one FAMU player jumping in the portal and, you know, witnessing how Isaiah Land and him coming back didn't exactly result the way he wanted to. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the scope of the portal as it relates to players in general, more or less having free agency, if you will, to be able to go to a team, go to another school to maximize opportunities, and what that looks like for HBCUs, where we see that, and even before there was a widespread portal, I think a few years ago, there was a Delaware State defensive end who transferred to Michigan State. And this was before the advent of the true transfer portal, but I think as a grad transfer. And so now we're starting to see more and more of that. So if you could speak to that and how, or what HBCU coaches can do, if anything, to try to stave off a rating of the talent.
Well, what's happened is the NCAA has sort of kind of made this thing a free for all. To be honest with you, one thing I'm gonna say this with as best I can without saying the wrong stuff. If one of these bigger schools wants our kids, there ain't really nothing we can do. We with the ability to pay these kids with NIL money, man, there's truly nothing that we could do as HBCU head coaches or coaches in general that would get a kid to stay at the HBCU, especially with what's happened in the draft over the last several years. Now, with that, you got to understand now the portal is where some go to finish their careers, because everybody ain't coming out of that portal. When I first got to Albany State, I told my guys, if you think you can play Division I football, you better make sure before you tell me you're going in the portal, you got somewhere to go. Because if you go in the portal, for me, that's it. That means you don't want to be at Albany State. You don't love what Albany State has to offer you. So if you decide to go in the portal, then that's where you need to go and make sure you have somewhere to go. Because if you don't, then this ain't the place for you no more, because you felt like you had to leave anyway to go find a better opportunity than Albany State had to offer you. But what I will say is, for our HBCU student athletes is be careful, because what ends up happening is our best players on the HBCU level sometimes take a chance, because what we got to realize is, and I'll use my career as an example, playing at FAMU and playing against mostly HBCUs, having a good showing against UM for a drive or two before I got hurt, then going to the playoffs, playing against Georgia Southern, having a good showing against them, and then my sophomore year having played against Appalachian State, Troy, and then against Youngstown in the playoffs, gave me an opportunity to play some of those top tier PWIs on the FCS level. So with that, the scouts got a chance to see me play against some different talent. But when the HBCUs play themselves like we do, what ends up happening when our student athletes decide to transfer and leave and go to different places, they're putting themselves behind the 8 ball, because these FBS programs are a lot of times looking for depth. If you didn't transfer before December and transferring in May, you setting yourself up, because at the end of the day, if they've gone through spring and they've set their too deep and all that good stuff, what they're looking for at this juncture is depth in case something happens, right? So with that, we got to be careful with jumping in the portal and thinking we're going to get a better opportunity to go somewhere. Yeah, you might get a better opportunity and get some more gear and get a few more dollars in your pocket, but you can probably guarantee that you're going somewhere to be in a backup role or something like that. Why leave a situation where you're an All-American? You just got to take the chance. I mean, at this point, you just got to take the chance, because the draft is what it is, right? So if you get drafted, you get drafted. If you don't, the free agent opportunity out there is just as good as well, obviously for some it don't seem like it's just as good, but all it is, a draft and the free agency, it's an opportunity. You know what I mean? There's been first round, second round guys that have gotten cut at the training camp. So all it is an opportunity. And sometimes, yes, you are behind the 8 ball because there's a numbers thing. But at the end of the day, if you go and do your thing and you're worthy of a spot, they're not going to kick you out of the league if you're worthy. The only way you don't make it in the NFL, if you're a free agent or even a draft pick, is if you're not worthy and you're not performing for what they need. That's as simple as that. So guys that are from the HBCUs that are hopping in the portal, man, they got to be careful. They got to be careful, especially if they're not hopping in there with a place to go, and if they're not hopping in there in December, because that portal, man, there's over 3,000 kids in the portal. There's still kids in the portal that hopped in there in 2019.
Yep.
So you gotta. I was just looking through the portal just today, and was looking at some positions that we thought we could maybe upgrade at. But at the end of the day, you know, our kids that we have on campus, we do believe in them. But at the end of it, this is a business, right? So you're always looking to improve your team. So, you know, you're looking in the portal, and I see kids in there from 2019. I'm like, well, dang. I wonder where he is now, because he's probably definitely not on the team that he was on. And if he's still in the portal, that means he may not be somewhere else unless he went and walked on somewhere. But again, that portal is a place like a desert, man. You can go out there if you ain't got no water, meaning if you ain't got nowhere to go, that's a place you can go and your career be over. So I warn our guys, the HBCU guys, about hopping in that and listening to certain people, because a lot of times these kids are listening to people that have no idea how this thing works. And with that, you know, you just hope that there's somebody, if there's somebody in their ear, there's somebody in their ear with some sense that know what they're talking about and can really, you know, direct and give this kid advice that'll help him at the end of the day. So, you know, we'll with that, you know, that portal thing is it is what it is, man, and they just need to be careful with it.
True. Marcus, you had a second question you wanted to throw in there as well?
Yes, I wanted to ask, and without revealing too much, and so I know I can, if you scale back, I understand, but based on your Gulf Coast offense experience, to what degree is that integrated, or are you bringing that to your new team?
I'm gonna tell you this, man. The Gulf Coast offense in itself was, at the time, revolutionary. What Coach Joe brought in offense and what we did back then, man, nobody was doing, really, to be honest with you. So what we did back then, people just weren't used to the speed that we played at. They weren't used to, because quiet as kept, man, we ain't run a whole lot of plays. We ran a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. We just did it at such a speed that people just weren't able to line up. They weren't able to understand what we were trying to do. And, you know, people like Georgia Southern, they had a whole season to see what we were doing. People like Western Kentucky had a whole season to see what we were doing. You know what I mean? So when it comes to teams that you would think teams that you play every year would catch on. But, you know, for Coach Billy and what we did, obviously he changed things up because of teams that we played each and every year. But the speed that we played at, man, was very, very different from normal football back then. There really weren't a whole bunch of teams running offenses that with 4 wide receivers at the speed that we were running. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff that's being done today because of what we did. Coach Billy Joe used to go clinic all the time with all of these big-time head coaches and all that good stuff. You know, people calling it different things. They call it what they want, the air raid and all this stuff. It's the same thing Coach Billy was doing, but they just trying to put their own spin to it and give it a name and them get paid off it. Because if Coach Billy Joe bottled that thing up and sold it, it would have sold out just like some of these books that's selling out with the air raid and all that good stuff. But for me, man, I've sort of kind of evolved offensively. Yes, we will play with speed. Yes, we will play with a no huddle. But for me, you know, the tight end is a very important piece to what I do, what we will do. We threw the ball 40, 45 times a game while I was at FAMU. I don't know if we're going to put it up that many times, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, you know, we do have some guys that are capable of doing that if need be. But if I'm honest with you, you know, over the years and the places I've been and the experience that I've got, running the ball is truly, truly a big piece of the game, and it has to be done for you to be successful. No matter how you look at it, teams that throw the ball, they have to have some type of run game to go along with the pass game, because if not, there is no RPOs, there is no play action, and people just drop back and try to cover you. But, for me, playing with speed, playing with tempo, and having the ability to control the clock is what we're going to be all about. And, that part of it is something that we did back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s with Coach Billy Joy and the Gold Coast offense. And that part of my game and what we do will never change. I just don't see the need to huddle, especially with signals and all that good stuff, different signs that people hold up now and these days. And we'll do the same thing with signs and signals because, it's a part of the game now. And the places I've been and learned, it's definitely a game changer in terms of kids understanding and keeping things simple. So for me, taking that part of it to Albany State I think is going to help us tremendously.
Thank you.
Quinn, Coach, I want to get you out of here with this final question or thought, because as I was trying to recall and I was doing some digging, there was this picture that I still have in my head of you, David Garrard, and Byron Leftwich, all of you with the Jaguars. And at that time, that was a pretty historic photo, if y'all remember, right? I would think that I don't think that had ever happened in the history of the NFL. Maybe it did, but I don't recall it happening. And then juxtapose that with what we had this past weekend, the redrafted. So that was one thing that kind of. I know you had those years, but I wanted to ask you about an HBCU quarterback getting drafted. We haven't seen one since Tavares Jackson. Prior to him, I think it was obviously you didn't get drafted, but I think McNair was before you. So that would have been the last two, if I recall. This year from HBCUs, obviously the name that I think, the two names, and I think it will be based on success. Davius Richard at North Carolina Central, possibly even our own Jeremy Musa at FAMU. What will it take for an HBCU quarterback? And we just talked about how difficult it is for offensive linemen, DBs, the receiver skill positions, right? What's it going to take for a quarterback from an HBCU to get drafted?
You want the
be honest.
You want a political answer, or you want my answer?
No, we want your answer. We don't want the politics.
It's going to take extraordinary play, man. Let's just be honest. It's going to take extraordinary play. Those guys have to go above and beyond what a normal quarterback at another school would have to do, and that's just being completely honest with you. They have to play damn near like Steve McNair or something like that to be able to put this week in and week out. Yeah, and are they going to make mistakes? Yes, but those mistakes that they make can't be bonehead mistakes that they make over and over again. We saw just a year ago, 2 years ago, what's the kid that was at Alabama A&M? I swore he was going to get drafted. I made a bet. Akil Glass. I swore that he was going. The kid was throwing the ball all over the field. Now, what happened? There was games where he threw 4 picks. There was games he threw 5 picks, things like that. And there was games he threw 6, 7 touchdowns. But when it comes down to black quarterbacks or quarterbacks on the HBCU level that's playing against what they call lesser talent, you can't have those mistakes. Yeah, you can throw a pick here and there, but to throw multiple picks, I threw multiple picks in a game once. I threw 4 picks against Hampton, but I also threw 6 touchdowns to help us win back in 2000. And when it comes down to it these days, you just can't make those mistakes. I think, these days they don't value the HBCU talent as much as they did back in the day, because you're talking about guys from Hampton used to get drafted, Bethune-Cookman with Rasheen, even Tuskegee had guys that got drafted, from a Division II school that were getting drafted in the second round, which is, really unheard of in the grand scheme of things. But for HBCU quarterback these days, man, they got to be on top of their game. They got to be damn near mistake free, and then they got to be awesome people. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. And again, I was going to give you the political answer, but I couldn't do that. I had to be upfront and honest with you, because when you're looking at it, man, if our best skill guys aren't getting drafted that are tops in the country in FCS, a quarterback on HBCU level, because they feel like they're playing against lesser talent as it is, he has to go above and beyond the Call of Duty to get his name out there and to be able to put his name on Front Street. There are no more Joe Flacco's from Delaware's and things like that. Yeah, and Joe Flacco played against some of the top talent that they thought was in FCS football, and especially with the HBCUs that playing each other the way they do, they don't feel like the talent is good enough unless they go and do things like Musa did against North Carolina last year.
Right.
You know what I mean? That is what has to happen. Teams like that, like I think FAMU plays, is it South Florida this year?
Yeah.
They play South Florida. Jeremy Musa has to go have a phenomenal game. They can win or they can lose, but he has to have a great game against the University of South Florida. And then on top of that, the rest of the season, he has to have phenomenal numbers and not make the mistakes that he didn't make against South Florida. You get what I'm saying? Because if he throws 3 touchdowns against South Florida, he better not throw 3 touchdowns and 3 picks against Bethune-Cookman. You know what I mean? So that's what we're up against. We're unfortunately, man, we're evaluated at a different level when it comes down to it, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, because those billionaires that own them teams, as we can see the stuff that's going on over the last several years, and what they've tried to do to change those people's mind hasn't worked, and it ain't gonna work, because they got all the money and they do what they want to do. So, and unfortunately, it is what it is. So, for our HBCU quarterbacks, man, I wish them the best of luck, but at the end of the day, they damn near got to be perfect.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that was the answer, but it's good to hear it come from you, better than me, you know. Coach, let people know where they can find you, where they can reach you, and any summer plans for camps or anything you got going on this summer. Go ahead and time is yours to plug.
Yeah, man. Social media at Coach Q Gray on Twitter, and that's Coach Q Gray. And on Twitter, it's QG5, which is my old nickname when I played with the Jags and all that good stuff. So for us, we're gonna hit the road this summer, do a bunch of the mega camps, man. We'll be at Florida State's camp. We'll be at FAMU's HBCU camp. We'll be at Benedict's HBCU camp up in Columbia. We'll be at the HBCU camp down in Fort Lauderdale. We'll also be at the HBCU mega camp in July up in Atlanta. And then my coaches have some camps that they'll do individually, like the special teams camp at Memphis, the special teams camp at Coastal Carolina, and things like that. So we'll be hitting the road running. We won't have our own personal camp this summer because, with the state of Georgia and those 501c3 paperwork, it take a little bit of time. So I'm getting that stuff done as we speak. And by the time next summer hits, we'll definitely have that stuff situated and have our own camps on our campus and be able to invite all of the coaches from around the country to come and enjoy some of this South Georgia talent in the state. So that's what we'll be. We'll be all over the southeastern region this summer. On top of that, got some family stuff planned with the wife and the kids and things like that. So looking forward to this first summer and looking forward to getting into this first season, man. It's going to be fun. Oh, let me tell y'all this, and I think y'all know. October 14th now, FAMU ain't got no game. That's all.
We're coming. I'll be there, Coach.
Was that homecoming October 14th?
Albany State homecoming, baby. That's Albany State homecoming. FAMU bye week. We did that on purpose.
Look, I was there for this past year. Coach Moore, I know it was nice. It was nice. And I only came up for the game, so I may have to definitely get up there on a Friday as well, though.
That's right, man. Obviously, this will be my first experience, but from what I've heard, man, it is a great one. So I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to obviously the season starting and getting after some folks, man.
All right, everybody in the chat, definitely make sure you go follow Coach Gray, Rattler Nation. We always show love to ours. With October 14th, it's a bye week, opportunity to head up north from out of Florida and Tallahassee and get up there. The beautiful weather that time of year, by the way. I will say that. So make sure to follow Coach. Make sure to keep the Albany State Rams in the back pocket. Make sure to pay attention in the SIC. Coach, thank you for your time. Hey, I'm gonna be up in your neck of the woods. Matter of fact, I gotta be on the road in about less than 8 hours. So I'm coming up for the SIC baseball. So I'll be up that way. I'll look for you.
That's right on campus, man. We should be right there. I see you. I make sure I buy you a Gatorade.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. I'll be doing a lot of broadcasting, so I'm gonna need it. Hey, thank you for your time tonight, Coach.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you guys, man.
Thanks, KJ.
All right.
Tell Coach McKinley we said what's up.
Huh?
Tell Coach McKinley we said what's up.
I sure will. He's doing a great job for me, man. He's doing a great job. We get on him all the time because he's the youngest one there. So he's driving the van when we go recruiting and everything. So he's doing a good job, man. Absolutely. But I do appreciate you guys, man. You guys do a great job on here.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Hey, everybody, we're coming back on the other side. We got a special guest. We got family coming up. One of our own, one of our family. We're going to talk to Lourdes Hemingway coming up here on the other side of this break. Hang in there. We'll be back in 2. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Brian, Kelvin, Marcus here, and it's a pleasure to be joined by Lourdes Hemingway. And of course, how you doing, Lourdes?
I'm doing good. How are you?
First off, it's a pleasure to meet you. I understand. I didn't know you. Look, be honest. I probably passed by you at the Orange and Green game. I think you were with Vaughn. So having not had the pleasure of meeting you, I was really sad about that. But I'm glad. Obviously, we had your sister on last week. Mm-hmm. That was an awesome interview, and I'm glad we actually had a chance to bring you on. So, how are you? It's good to see you. How are you doing?
Oh, good to see you too. I'm doing pretty good. The semester is coming to an end, so we have to praise God for that. And I'm just living, laughing, and loving.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Tell us about now. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, are you graduating this weekend? Give us your major, where you're at, and what your time like at FAMU has been right now.
Okay, so I'm a business administration major. I'm a second year, but I'm a junior because I came in with some credits. So I'm a junior now, and I should graduate like fall 24. I'm definitely not graduating this weekend, but I will be graduating in a year or so. My time at FAMU has been I can't even lie, it's been pretty good to me. I think there's definitely that culture of having a family, having friends that become your family, having professors that become your family. And I wasn't really I knew that was the HBCU culture, but coming into I'm definitely more grateful having to experience it firsthand.
All right. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So, first of all, your sister mentioned that you'll be going on an internship this summer. Talk about that and what you'll be doing.
Okay, so I will be going to New York this summer to do a marketing internship with Estee Lauder. That's basically like my concentration in my major is marketing. So if you don't know Estee Lauder is a cosmetic brand, and I think their brand portfolio is about 60 other brands that they've bought or acquired. So during the summer, I will be staying in New York and working under La Mer, which is a luxury skincare brand, the largest luxury skincare brand in the world. And I'll be learning consumer behaviors, marketing, putting together ideas, things like that for the company.
Okay, and how did you get involved with working with Vaughn?
Well,
and what do you do?
Well, I got involved. Okay, so there's this page that FAMU has. It's called Live, Love, Strike. And they post, internships that they have, in Tallahassee, job opportunities, what's going on campus, who's running campaigns, basically like everything you need to know at FAMU, it's on that page. So he posted that he wanted interns. So I just applied. I sent in my application, and I just started working for HBCU Game Day or interning for HBCU Game Day.
Oh man, Kelvin, you need to get on that. We need to get on that page. We need some interns, man. We need to, look, I learn something new every show. Look, hey, that's what's up. So now you're in SBI, correct? Is that so? Is this an intern? Because look, trust me, SBI, they help you with your internships. I went to New York with Pfizer. That was I don't know if they still do the Pfizer internships, but you going to New York, did SBI help put that together, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Okay, see, that's you're doing an intern that I don't want to show my age, but I feel like 25 years ago that wouldn't have been on the list. I'm just saying. I just feel like
probably not. It's a little new. It's a little new.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead.
You guys took all the questions I had, but I wanted to ask you, Miss Lourdes, what do you think about going to New York? Have you ever been there, and have you connected with any alumni just yet who are up there? We actually, our guest of ours last week, she is in New York, and she's probably watching now. But what are your thoughts about going to New York?
Well, number one, I've been to New York twice before because my god sisters and god brother, they live there. So I went over there for their graduation on two different occasions. So like after I went there, I was like, okay, I love it here. Like when I graduate when I graduate college, that's where I really want to live because I just like the fast paced life. I'm just not a country girl, you know what I'm saying? So I get in the city. But I'm definitely excited to go, be somewhere where I can walk to places that I need to be at instead of, having to drive or take some sort of vehicle. I really like the culture, the lifestyle. So I'm definitely excited about going.
All right.
I want to ask, because I think I asked Majesty this last week. What's it like when you go out with your dad? When you were out with your dad, what's your experience like? I mean, because share with us some experiences and just your thoughts, if you would, being out with dad.
Well, I'm sure you guys can see now. I look just like my dad. So even when
That's
I'm
what
not
everybody
out,
in the chat room. Everybody in the chat room is like, yes, yes. Give a thumbs up if y'all agree in the chat room. Yes.
you guys are so funny. You guys are so funny. But when I don't have to go out with my dad for people to know that my dad was like in my life. So I like when I first moved to Tallahassee and everything, I was walking around Walmart or something. Somebody came up to me. They're like, "Oh, you're Kofi's daughter." I was like,
Do I know you?
I was like, I mean, I could be. It depends on who's asking. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, it's always an experience, but definitely, going to FAMU, going to the football games. I just had to say, you know what? If my dad's going to the game, I'll just go up there and speak and have a little conversation with him, because if I go with him, he's he loved to talk a lot, and network around with all these different people, and then watch the band after they were done playing, or after the football game was over. So if you were going out with him, you were definitely going out for a very long time, and you be prepared to talk, prepared to meet 10 new different people that you didn't know before. It's like, gosh, I thought you knew everybody. You know more people. I'm like, gosh, oh my god. But yeah, it's always super fun. We're always super goofy and just lighthearted, and it's always just a good time.
How has that helped you? Obviously, being in what in your profession or what you're looking to do. I mean, because those are sort of skills that I feel like they're hard to learn. I don't. Maybe they're not hard to learn, but everyone doesn't have that ability. And so when you see that example through your father and his interactions, how has that sort of helped you as you're finding your way through your career path right now?
Well, I think I've just learned from my dad firsthand just really how to talk to people, and I think that just comes from him being a genuine person and just passing that on to me, because a lot of the time people try to work up this facade or this need to be different in front of other people. He really just taught me to be authentically myself, and the right people, when you're in the right place, they will fall in line, and they will be the people that you need to meet. So he definitely taught me that there's no shame in meeting people, introducing yourself. When I got to college, I didn't know my dad all my life has been teaching me, what we now know as like the FAMU greeting or the SBI greeting. I was like, oh, I've been doing this my whole life. You guys are just catching up. But so yeah, definitely he's definitely played a part in that. I think I'm a little bit more outgoing and definitely a lot less shy, just because I've had to talk to so many people.
True that. Go ahead, Kel.
Did you play tennis at all coming up and in high school? And then also, what talent do you have outside of just your personality? I know somebody sing and somebody was a speaker, so just kind of talk about that.
Well, me personally, I don't stick to one talent. You know what I'm saying? I think the Lord has blessed me with so many gifts, so I don't think I can list them all right now. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just kidding. But yeah, I did play tennis. My sister was the better athlete, but don't tell nobody. And I played tennis. I did soccer for a few years. But I say my first passion has always been art, drawing, painting, all those sorts of things. I also sing too. I could do a cartwheel. So yeah.
Sing and do a cartwheel. That's a heck of a combo right there.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out. Marcus, got any final questions for Lourdes?
What has been your best experience at FAMU? And do you have any friends who didn't go to the HBCU route that they live vicariously through you?
That's a messy second question right there.
As long as you don't put their name in it or city, it might be okay.
Yeah, protect the innocent. But yeah.
Protect the innocent. There you go.
My favorite experience at FAMU, I'm gonna have to say,
So far,
there's so many good experiences. I'm gonna have to say, I would say like the way that you meet people through like clubs and organizations. I feel like the bonds that you form, people really become like with you for like the rest of your life.
Yeah.
They're lifelong friends, things like that. I would say that's definitely one of my favorite things. Second question, yes, I definitely do have friends that did not take the HBCU route. They may struggle a little bit with that culture. I don't really know. That's none of my business. I don't think they live I don't know if they live vicariously through me, but I think they definitely wish they had the HBCU experience. They wish they had the HBCU band. They wish they had the Step Fridays, the community, not walking past 10 people before you find somebody that looks like you, you know. So I think they like having a friend that has that experience because, you know, homecoming comes, everybody loves to cross the tracks. So there's definitely that. But I say they stay in their own world for the most part.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Lourdes, I want to thank you, and I genuinely thank you, and again, thank your sister, thank your mom for giving the time that we had with your dad in these platforms, because whether it be our show or Scotty's show, this is time consuming. I mean, we do 2 hours of content, and that's 2 less hours that he's with you guys. And so, and then of course, you know, because of this, he's known more in so many more places. And so I just feel like I just feel like I have to say thank you, because you guys you made it so he wanted to give his time. And I know I've heard the stories. Your dad would be there. Whether he finished this, he'd be right there with you guys. So maybe there wasn't any time lost, but I just still feel like I want to say thank you and let you know that, you know, whenever that you have something that you want to say, promote, this is your show too. Your dad helped make this what it is.
Yeah.
You know, he is a part of this. He will always be a part of this, and thus you, your sister, your family, you all are a part of this. So whenever you want to promote something, whenever you want to share something with us, whenever you want to just come on and say, hey, I want to come on and do a segment on whatever sports or FAMU related topic, just call, email, tweet us. It's done.
We got you.
We got you. We got a box for you. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to share that, and you know, I'm sure we speak for everybody here. You continue to pray for you, lift you up in prayer, lift your family up in prayer, and you know, we just wish you well as you continue down this path. Share with people any thoughts you want to share with Rattler Nation or your social media, because obviously, you know, you're heading to New York. We want to be there to support you, whatever way you need support up in New York. Let us know how we can be there for you.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm definitely grateful to be a part of, you know, this podcast, because I was definitely, you know, one of the interruptions when my dad was on camera for sure.
Okay.
So, closing microwaves, you know, opening and closing doors. So I'm just thankful that I never got any complaints. But yeah, thank you guys for having him. He was definitely, you know, one of the things he thoroughly enjoyed. He's always talking about some sort of sport, something going on. So I'm definitely grateful that he got this outlet to, you know, talk to y'all, because I didn't understand what he was talking about anyway. So yeah, for Rattler Nation, I'm gonna just say, you know, love on people as much as you can. Do everything in love. Take life seriously, but not too seriously, because we still need to have fun. We still need to love each other, enjoy each other, and just have a good time. And, you know, strike, and strike again. Y'all already know the deal. So thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Hey, social media. Any social media handles you want to share, whether it be Instagram or Twitter? I don't know if you're on one or all.
Okay, well, if y'all want to follow me on Instagram, it's SSEDRUOLLL. It's my name backwards. You know, people get a little confused when they.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was gonna say,
but it's my name backwards. So yeah.
Hold on, I feel like I need to create a banner for that. There's a lot going on there. Say that again.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay.
SSEDR. I'm trying to look at her name spelled backwards, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
LLL.
Oh, I know I messed this up. On Instagram or Twitter?
Yeah, that's my Instagram.
All right. We'll see if I got this right. We'll see. Big reveal here. Did Brian get this right? Did I get that right? SSED.
There's one more L.
Oh, 3 L's. Okay. See,
Mm-hmm.
my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We can try to get this right here. 3 L's. All right. There we go. I think I got it now. So, Rattler Nation, you guys following us? All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys.
So much. God is
you
good.
guys, please go take a look. Follow on Instagram. Follow Lourdess on Instagram, please. Those of you who are on Instagram, we'll make sure to follow. And we're gonna see your journey, because I know you're gonna share a lot of the journey on Instagram in New York, and so we want summer reports. We're gonna have to bring it back here, Kevin. You and Matt.
Yes, you got to come back. You got to come back afterwards.
I'll be giving y'all some reports. You know, maybe I could be, the inside scoop. When homecoming going on and everything like that. Because I know
there you go.
I feel like these followers, they just gonna miss me too much. So,
Yes, we got an inside correspondent, Kelvin. We already got one. Oh, we love it. Well, hey, Lourdes, you and finals are all out the way, right? Are they done, or is it this?
I have another one tomorrow. I'm praying to the Lord for that one, but God has been good to me, so
what course?
I'm sure He'll be good for me tomorrow. So,
what course is it?
It's database files and management. It's kind of like coding.
Yeah, see, we're just all collective.
Yeah, that's what every time I walk in the class, I just
that one said, "Hey, that one made me change my major right now." I was gonna be a double major, but I took one of them CIS courses and I said, "Nah, I don't need but one major."
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm sticking to one too.
All right. Well, again, safe travels on your way to New York. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. Be safe. God bless. And we'll look forward to following along. And we'll get some reports. End of the summer reports. All right. Thank you, Lourdes. We appreciate
no problem.
you. All right.
You as well.
Hey, we'll be back in just a minute on the other side to clean up with some more Rattler Roundup stuff. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone. We'll be back in 2.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Boy, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Whoo! Boy, I love this. I love this show. Man, what awesome kids.
Yes.
What awesome kids. Yes, Mrs. Hemingway, your babies did a great job today and last week. Thank you. Thank you for sharing them. Thank you for sharing Kofi with us. I'm wishing both of them the best with their summers. Man, what awesome kids, man. Awesome kids. Wow. A couple of suggestions here for Lourdes. I think J Mac offering up a couple of, if Lourdes is still watching, you may want to take down a couple of good food recommendations from J Mac. Says the Stage Door Deli in Manhattan has some good food. Also dropped another suggestion in there. Amy Ruth's Soul Food in Harlem. Definitely great suggestions there. Appreciate you, J Mac, for dropping those in there. You guys got any other suggestions that you want to share? You can definitely go. I think somebody told me, did I misspell Instagram? Did I really do that?
Instagram.
Oh,
Instagram.
My bad. I was trying to. Look, she threw me off with the spelling it backwards and then with the triple L's. I'm like, my goodness, what? It's kids. I'm telling you, God, love them. I love that. Living, laughing, loving. There it is, right there. There it is. Beautiful. Well said. So again, we thank two great back-to-back interviews, not only today with Coach Gray and then Lourdes, and then, obviously we had Majesty on last week. All right, so we'll try to bring us home here. We got a lot to finish on. We'll get to the big news of the day or of the week. Kamari Stevens jumped into the transfer portal. I know Kevin was itching to talk on it, mention it, obviously. Now, okay, so here's what I want to say. At first, I'm seeing the news, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, we kind of – am I surprised? No, I'm surprised that – I'm thankful that he's the only one. But then again, let's really – when you look at the Kamari Stevens situation, he's one of the 47 student athletes who are graduating.
Mm-hmm.
So when we really think about it, I mean, look, he's walking out of FAMU with a degree. He came here for that purpose. Had a good season last year. Made a name for himself. Got a lot of preseason praise. Had a good spring. Why not? Why not see what's out there? I don't know if I've heard Coach Simmons state anything similar to what we heard Coach Gray say in terms of, hey, if you jump in the portal, but so I don't know. Go ahead, Kelvin. Your thoughts as you saw Kamari jump into the portal.
My first thought was what Coach Gray shared. You have to be careful because you have to find a program that's a good fit. And I just, you don't want to be a complimentary piece. Here, he's a centerpiece. So that's my only concern, but I understand. I get it. He don't watch two guys he practicing blood, sweat, and tears with that didn't get drafted. So I can understand him. He has the size, and all the metrics, 6'5", 250, you know. So I get it. I'm not mad with him, and I actually like how the team has responded. If you look at his teammates and everybody, you know, nobody has said anything negative or throw any shade, and they shouldn't. He's put his name out there, and he's gotten some Power Five offers and interest, and as well as some Group of Five offers. So there's interest in him. You know, he has 2 more years if he wants to do 2 more years left. So I understand it. I'm glad he's getting his degree. He's a Rattler, and for selfish reasons, I hope that he still chooses to come back because he is our centerpiece. That's a position of depth. We do have a lot of guys with his size, and we brought in some transfers and JUCOs. But I kind of like to finish what we started. That's kind of my mentality. But if he chooses to do other things, I wish him nothing but the best. And I understand the decision.
Marcus?
I'm the same as Kelvin, and I would say probably 4 or 5 years ago, my initial reaction might have been on the bitter side, been like, all right, well, if you think the grass is greener, go ahead then. But now, with the advent of some maturity on my part, and also with the advent of the transfer portal, this is just the way it's going to be. And that's kind of the question that I asked Coach Gray, is that more or less, and I saw someone posted earlier, and I know we talked about it even last year in the pit, Kelvin, about basically, with the 1-3 transfer rule, are the most talented players in HBCUs going to be more or less like training ground or you guys used earlier?
I think it depends on the school.
You're going to get should that be an expectation? I hope not, but it's a very good likelihood because of the differentials between Power 5, FBS, and the resources at the HBCU level. And we've seen, other than I think the young man over at Southern, we've seen the last 2 or 3 defensive players of the year or the top rated players jump in the portal or either come back or go for a year. I think the defensive end for Alabama A&M went to FSU for a year and then came back. I don't recall his name. And then the gentleman, I think the one from Southern, Jason? I can't remember his last name.
Dumas?
I'm sorry?
Dumas?
Yes. I think he didn't go in the portal, but he was in the spring season of 2021? In the spring of 2021, when the SWAC did that 6-game schedule, he turned out to be the Buck Buchanan winner. And then last year we had Isaiah, and now we had. So you look at on the defensive.
That wasn't Dumas. That was Carter.
Right.
And he got hurt the next year. Dumas was there with him, but Dumas didn't. Was it the other way around?
Dumas transferred from Prairie View.
Prairie View, yeah. Dumas was at Prairie View.
No, not him. There was the guy who was at Southern who was a defensive end and got.
He
never transferred.
No, I'm not saying he was in the portal. I say he was the only one that didn't. But you look at the last few top defensive players. Isaiah Land's considering it last year and then came back to FAM. The guy who was at Alabama A&M the year before, I think he did a little quick dance at FSU for a season. Then he went back to Alabama A&M. So it's starting to become more prevalent.
Before we again take every instance with its own. Look at each one in its own individual bubble. And I say that because FAMU has had I don't know the numbers, but it just feels like we've had the fewest number of players.
We have.
Portal.
We have.
And we have not won a SWAC title in these 2 years. We made 1 playoff appearance. That tells me that the culture that Coach Simmons is built and the university itself stands on a certain leg on its own. Like, those are 2 strong legs that it's like you came to FAMU for something. Quality of life, which you cannot match anywhere else. I don't care what you think is out there in the SWAC. You can't match what FAMU has in terms of quality of life. That's why we are the way we are. I mean, other schools can think they got it. No. And so, yeah, we may have some inadequacies in a few places, but it balances out. So, all that to be said, Kamari Stevens graduating. He is graduating.
Yes.
You know, now it'd be a different story if he wasn't graduating. Then I think we can look at this in a certain way. But once I learned that he had graduated, because initially I just kind of was like, And so then when I saw the story come out that he was one of the 47 that graduated, I was like, okay, hey man, I still was wishing him well, but I felt even more well wishes because, hey man, you alumni, you great. Now, if your goal is to go and play professional sports, it's not like you can't do that at FAMU. You can, but you want to test the agency, test the free. You'll never be hotter than you are right now. So go test it. Go see what's out there. Can you be more than a second or third string rotation player guy? You know, and see where it falls. I would just be cautious about lumping all of these guys into one bubble, because I think just like the guys who are getting drafted, every case is so unique. I mean,
I'm not saying they all did it for the same reason. I'm just saying that you see 3 or 4 people who are top tier SWAC players either testing the bubble or testing the portal, or and getting enticed into the portal.
I think that's gonna be I think that's gonna be the norm.
But I don't have any, but like both of you, I don't have any disagreement with him doing it. He's got his degree. He came in class of 2019, and I have to look back at my files, but I don't know if he was like 2-star, 3-star, or anything like that coming out. So FAMU has developed him. FAMU has developed Isaiah Land. It's the culture, the coaching, and whatever things we may or may not have compared to Power 5 programs, it was good enough to develop both of them at the top conference level, and in some case, in Isaiah's case, national level, and in Xavier Smith's level, national level recognition for their football prowess.
All right. Let me make mention of.
We also need to answer the question for the gentleman that sent an email earlier.
You want to jump right to the recruiting stuff? Yeah. If you got that, ready, let me get this one out of the way, since we were talking about Kamari and graduating, and then we'll come to you, Marcus, on that one. So 47 spring graduates are going to walk the stage this upcoming weekend. Football will have 11 graduates, softball with 6, men's track and field 6, baseball 5, women's basketball 5, cheerleading 4, women's track 4, volleyball 3, golf 2, men's basketball 1. Some heavy names in these classes. I mean, baseball, you got Ty Hanchy, Hunter Veach, Jared Weber. Of course, our good friend Naila Clarington graduating with cheerleading. Football, you got guys like Nicholas Dixon, friend of the show, Donald Hall, esports champion, LaJawn Howard, of course, Isaiah Land, Javon Morgan. We mentioned Stevens and Kamari Young. So 2 Kamaris. But actually, Kamari Young, the tight end, is coming back. I'm trying to see any names. Let's see. Women's basketball, Dylan Horton graduating. Mallory Brooks graduating. In softball, friend of the program, Janiyah Davis. Friend of the program, Nia Morgan, both walking. Nadia Zenteno pitching. Janae Mobley, big player, big hitter. Destiny Cuevas, big player, big hitter, graduating. That's some big names off of softball. They had like 10 seniors, but I think, 6 that are graduating and walking off the stage. Volleyball, Iramu Carr, Brooke Hudson. So, I mean, that's just some of the names. I think I heard AD VP Sykes say that this is one of the largest groups, at one time. So
It is.
yeah, that's pretty good. I thought so.
That's
47.
what it's about. That's what it's about. And I believe the COVID year is finally getting ready to. This is the last of the COVID year kids too. So
Next year, I think next year will be the last of the COVID kids, probably. Winter or spring.
Only a few. It won't be a whole bunch of them. It'll only be a few. But also, I just wanted to say we had 4 sports. VP Sites also tweeted out we had 4 sports that had perfect scores in terms of APR.
Yeah, I saw that. If you have those, do you have those offhand? If not, I'll go to Marcus. I'll let Marcus.
I do not.
I'll see if I can find it, but I know golf was one.
Well, here, let's do this, Marcus. Let's go to the question that we were going to, and while you're doing that, then Kelvin can look up and come back with APR. We don't have to try to guess. We can just go from one story to the next. What was the question that was proposed or that was asked? We had a question in our inbox. Whenever you have a question, guys, send us an email, O&G StrikeZone @gmail.com. So you got that, Marcus? What was that?
The question was about the recruits for the class of 2000 signees.
You got who it was from? Do you have that pulled up as well?
I do. I can find out really quick.
I do have that those sports.
All right. Well, while Marcus is looking that up, while he's finishing that up, go ahead, Kelvin. What are those sports that we had to perfect? Now these are perfect APRs.
Perfect single year APR scores. So we had cross country, golf, and volleyball.
Cross country, golf, and volleyball. Okay. Coach,
so kudos.
Coach Rice. Who's running cross country program now?
It was Coach Peoples, so he gets credit. We got a new coach. We got a new coach now, but it was Coach Peoples up until January.
We talked to Coach Peoples. Shout out to Coach Peoples, definitely. Congratulations to those 3 programs and those student athletes and coaches on getting that perfect year together. All right, Marcus, coming back to you. Are you you good? You ready? Okay,
I think I have the presentation. I don't have the question. I can't get. For some reason, I can't get in my email right now. And I have the slide. I have the slides up. Well, at least I have them.
You got the slide. All right, here we go.
It's like it's loaded. Oh, there it is.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know how to work
I got you.
Okay.
I got you. Go ahead.
All right. First up, Sydney Humes, coming from Alabama, Homewood High School. We did review this a couple weeks ago, but we do have a new addition. And so she's coming in, and you can see she has some All-State accolades for the AL.com Super All-State Volleyball Team, and also voted on the All-Region Volleyball Team for the Birmingham area.
And this was a question. So let me reset.
Mm-hmm.
This is coming from Alfred Palmore or Palmore. I hope I'm saying your name right, Alfred. I probably butchered your last name. But the question was, who were the 4 that signed to play volleyball at FAMU and any others that signed for 2023? So that was the question. I was like, oh, I know my guy Marcus has got that. I mean, I thought we went over it, but Marcus has got it. So, all right. So there we go, Marcus. There's the...
Yes. So our next signee is out of Atlanta. We actually got 2 out of the Atlanta area. And Coach Gokhan mentioned this back in December and took a little digging. There were a couple that are more obvious than others that put their stuff out there, but it eventually comes out. So Milana Thornton out of Kennesaw Mountain High School. They made the quarterfinals in the first round. So she signed. I think she's an early signee. She signed in November. And I believe the previous young lady, I think she signed in November as well. Shelby Walker Chamblin, she was the second Atlanta person, and it took a while for me to find information on her. And actually, I think someone sent it to me on Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook that tight. But she's outside hitter, middle blocker, 5'10". And you see she was voted at the GVCA, Georgia Volleyball Coach Association, All-State Volleyball Team. and her team went to the state semifinals at level 4A in the state of
That's what we
Georgia.
like to see. That's what we like
Yes.
to see.
And actually, I believe there's a YouTube video of her interview and her commitment that came out around October.
Nice.
The fourth person from Ayani Sanford from Choctawhatchee High School in Fort Walton Beach.
Yeah.
And they got to the regional semifinals and second round of Class 5A. Overall record 23-6, and so doing it really, really well, doing it big. I think she also signed in November. And the last person, just I want to say a week ago, on April 26th, that came up, and this happened to come across. She's originally of Bulgarian descent, but she made her way to junior college in the U.S. She played on the under-16 junior national team of Bulgaria, and I believe she may have played some club before she came over in the U.S. and JUCO. Alexandra Koleva. And she's a setter, and she was playing at Miami-Dade. Actually, I think she played at Tyler College in Texas and then came to Miami-Dade. And her team, she made first conference in the Suncoast Conference in the FCSAA, which is the Junior College Athletic Association in the state of Florida. So she made the All-Suncoast volleyball team, and her team lost in the finals for the Division I national championship for volleyball, and lost to Florida Southwestern. And so we have 4 high school signees, and to date, 1 transfer, 1 JUCO transfer. And I've been peeping out different people and trying to drop hints on their announcements that they've been transferring of coming over to FAMU. Hasn't worked just yet, and I don't want to get us in trouble. But there are a couple of people that I've seen. I'm like, they would be.
You don't have a burner account, Marcus, where you're like notifying these people via burner accounts.
No, I don't have an Evil Decatur G account. But and actually one young lady, I was hoping she would come to us. She went to Florida State, but she transferred from Oregon, and she's from the ATL. So I was like, oh, and she has 2 years left. But she signed on to Florida State in January. But there's 2 more that just came out this week that I'm keeping an eye on. One young lady, and actually there's one from TCU. I have to follow up on her, see what she's doing. And there's one young lady two from Iowa that just got in the portal, I want to say, within the last week or so. And I think they're both from Texas. So I'm hoping that our newfound Texas pipeline between football and volleyball will help us out.
Nice. All right, good stuff. So there you go. Alfred, we appreciate you. And of course, if you guys have a question for Marcus or Kelvin or maybe even me, you can always send us an email, O&G StrikeZone at gmail.com is where you can find us. All right, continuing with the Rattler Roundup. It's Division I NCAA tournament time for the Lady Rattlers, our tennis program, taking on Georgia, the Georgia Bulldogs, in Athens Friday. Athens is the host site. I think Florida State's even coming up that way.
Florida State there too.
Yeah, so Georgia, just to kind of give some context of who we're going up against, they won the SEC tournament title. This is the 36th straight year that Georgia has earned a bid to the tennis tournament, the NCAA tennis tournament. They have an all-time tournament record of 89-33. This is the 12th consecutive year that the Bulldogs have earned a host position for the first and second rounds of the tournament. Pretty nice facility, too. If you took a look, I didn't even know tennis facilities were like that, to be honest. I mean, look, that tells you.
And they're going to put $28 million more into it after the season.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like when I always heard Kofi talk about improving the Althea Gibson Tennis Center, I never wanted to say how you want to improve it, Kofi. I mean, look like pretty nice courts. Well, after I've seen what else is out there, you're like, yeah, hell, why don't we have a upper level?
We need an indoor.
Yeah,
we need an indoor facility. Yeah,
hey, that would be nice. That would be nice. you would think we're on that. You would think maybe, right, with some of that USTA, Althea Gibson. Instead of throwing up a statue, how about invest in an indoor facility down here in Tallahassee on the campus of Florida A&M University, USTA. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
just a thought. So there's also, and I reached out to Coach Nikki via email, but I don't know how heavy she is in the email. But there's also the single and doubles tournament, which will begin. I was trying to find out if we have any of our single, or we had an awesome year on doubles. So I'm just curious if we have any of our players participating in that tournament. Just to see. But yeah, any Rattlers that are going to be in that area, Athens, Georgia, Friday, 1:00 Eastern. Go over to the facility. Go support.
absolutely.
I got a good feeling that the Atlanta/Georgia folks will make an appearance. It's the first time. I want to say, is this the first time ever?
I think that's what was shared during that
That's when I
HBCU
saw
game
that
day.
HBCU game day clip, which, by the way, was an outstanding job. I'm probably guessing Vaughn had something to do with that, but that was an excellent piece that covered not only. Look, I didn't know Coach Nikki was a rider like that. I mean, she's got the bike club and everything, but that was a pretty cool look into that. And then, but it talked. I think she did mention it's the first time that we are competing in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting, given the fact we won the MEAC a few times back in the late '90s, early '90s. Kind of interesting, right? All right. Any guys? Any final thoughts there on tennis or just that opening round?
Well, fans can cheer as part of the college format. It's not like the U.S. Open where they shush you before they serve.
Be quiet. So you can
Yeah,
be loud.
so you can cheer. So if we can get some Rattlers out there, it's about what, an hour and a half, 2-hour ride east of Atlanta.
Yeah. All right, that's something.
If we got folks in Augusta, they can make it down too.
Yeah. So again, you can cheer. So be loud, be proud. Wear some orange and green. Show out, represent. Let these young students, student athletes, know you're there for them. All right, we got to talk softball quickly. I know we're coming up on the end of the show, but we got to get into this softball real quick because I've been scrambling trying to make sense of what is going on. Okay, let's start with the. We talked about where's my unfortunate banner? Yeah, Spring Sports took it on the chin. Sorry to cover you up there, Marcus. Spring Sports took it on the chin.
Cover my chin.
Yeah, right there on your chin. Baseball got swept. Got swept by the best team in the SWAC. I'm just flat out. They are Alabama State. Softball lost 2 of 3 to Jackson State. In case you didn't know, or if you didn't watch the broadcast, game 1, Tiffany Green did a great job of pointing out that we're down to 2 pitchers. Nadia Zentino and Lauren Peppers. That's it. There's only 2 arms we have. We had one that we lost to injury, and then we lost another one that left for personal reasons. So we're down to 2, and we already knew going in that this was we didn't even have a full roster. We knew that from our interview with Coach P back in early February, late January. So we knew we were in a tough spot. So here's the thing. Like initially, I had asked Josh Padilla, because I saw our record, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. We're just really a half a game behind Jackson State now. Jackson State moving to 13-11. We should be 12 and 11. Then I saw something on the SWAC website that said we were 11 and 12. And then, of course, I heard some announcement at the 220 Club that said we weren't participating in the SWAC tournament. I was like, huh? I'm like, wait a minute, what in the world is going on here? Come to find out that whatever was on the SWAC website was a misprint. Got fixed eventually. I don't know who, maybe my emails helped. Who knows? But the original plan, as it was shared with me, was that game, which was postponed twice before due to weather, we have one game to make up against Alabama A&M. It will get made up this Sunday. There's no other games happening unless they're makeup games in the SWAC softball. The tournament starts next week. But FAMU has to win. FAMU has to win that one game. And if they should win that one game over Alabama A&M, they will end up with a tie. Actually, it'll create a three-way tie, to be honest. I don't understand the whole tiebreaker rules. All I know is, what I was told is, if we win and there's a three-way tie, we knock out Jackson State for the 4 spot. Yeah. You're on mute, I think, Kelvin.
We better win.
Yeah. So that's what's at stake. Are you there, Kelvin? Go ahead. Give mic check. Nope. Marcus, I hear you, but I think you're on mute too.
Yeah, I just said we better win.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Did I lose you, Kelvin? Yeah, Kelvin's trying to. No,
he can hear us.
That's great. We can't hear you though. But that's what's on the line. So I'm not even going to try to analyze all the other stuff. All I've been told is that we win, we're in. So
Where's
that game will be Sunday. Sunday at 1:00 Eastern, noon Central. Now, what's interesting about that, and I wanted to reach out to a couple people and find out, graduation is Saturday, May 6th. Obviously, we've got 6 girls that are on that, including Janiah Davis, Nia Morgan, Janaea Mobley. Thank you. That's 3 starters right there. I think Destiny Cuevas was injured. I don't know if she's back to playing yet. But that's at least 3 starters. So I'm just wondering, okay, after graduation, I'm hoping, I don't know if they're driving or is the school flying them up to Huntsville so that they can play and, fly them up Saturday night so that way they can be there rested and ready to go Sunday for what should be the biggest game of the season. Biggest game of the season. One game, win, and you're in.
Now, it looks like we're having 3 commencement speakers, so I'm assuming we're having 3 ceremonies. And I guess they're divvying it up, I'm assuming, because
I would hope so.
Way back when I graduated, it was like one big one. But now they got 3 separate ones. I'm assuming they're dividing them up by school, so it depends on which major they have. So they could be across 3 different ceremonies. Now, I do believe, or from what I saw from the press release, it looks like at least Janiah and Naya are in the same discipline.
Okay.
I don't know about everybody, but I think they're in the same degree program. So for better or for worse, they'll be in the same one. Now, I don't know if that's in the earlier ceremony, because usually I think now they started having one on Friday morning, Friday evening, Saturday morning, and then Saturday evening. So it depends on which school, where their schools line up as it relates to which ceremony they're assigned to. And I'd imagine even that the date and time of it was probably negotiated just because of the graduation ceremony. I don't know about Alabama A&M, but I'm sure that they probably wanted to accommodate the seniors for FAMU to make sure that it could be as fair a contest as possible, given the stakes.
Kelvin, are you back there? We got you back there yet? No,
not yet.
No, not yet. Looks like okay. All
I'm about
right.
to
So
type it in the chat. I'll
yeah,
read
you
it.
have to type it or hold up a big sign or something. Just write it down or something. No, just okay. So we somehow lost Kelvin's audio. But I think I'm trying to see. Do we have? Oh, the last thing that I think we had to mention was track and field. SWAC indoor or SWAC outdoor championships
This weekend.
are this weekend. Location. Ooh, I just had the location. I forgot where it is. But I was just going through some of the top performances from the outdoor season. Did you know, Marcus, Lauren Hall has the fastest 100-meter time this year? 11.53.
All right. And she's a transfer from North Carolina, University
She
of North
is.
Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, 11.453 fastest time. DeJean Clark, who was the athlete of the week, and that reminds me, shout out to not only DeJean Clark, who was the field athlete of the week, but shout out to Nia Morgan, who was the co-hitter of the week. You can kind of see the stats there, where for Nia, she had 2 homers in total, 5 RBIs, a slugging percentage of 1.500. So congrats to Nia and DeJean. But speaking of DeJean, he had the 3rd fastest time in the men's 100 meter this year, behind 3 different Alabama State guys. So Alabama State will be probably the favorite in that 100 meters. Hopefully, FAMU can come away with a dub in the women's 100. I'm just I know we had the fastest time in the 4x100 meter. In the 200 meter, Taleda Williams, 2nd fastest time of the season, 23.45. So she's a name to watch out for in that event. In the 400 meters she had the 3rd fastest time of 54.43, which was only 0.3 tenths of a second slower than the top time, which was by a young lady at Bethune. So Taleda should be in the hunt not only for a 200 but a 400 as well. Just kind of glancing here quickly to see if I look up and I see any other events where FAMU had a fast time during the year. Not coming across anything off the top. As mentioned, that 4x100 team has the fastest time of the year, 45.43. So, they'll be the ones in front. We also have the 2nd fastest 4x400 relay team for women with 3 minutes 45 seconds. It'll be interesting to see how we score from a women's. Obviously, we have the defending SWAC champ in the pole vault, Kiara Ivy. DeJean Clark in the long jump had the best time. He and Pache Caldwell had the best 2 times all season. So they will be the top 2 seeds, I'm sure, for the long jump, 2 of the favorites. And scrolling through, that will pretty much do it. So again, Marcus, where is that track meet at again?
I'm not sure. Let me find out really quick.
I thought you guys might. Well, while you're looking, I'll keep going here. Then javelin, Quentin Williams, 2nd best throw of the year for the javelin, and that's it. So I don't know. If we can pull off a couple of 1st place wins, who knows? We might mess around and win a women's SWAC outdoor title. Would not surprise me, given all that the ladies have done this year for FAMU. All right, Kelvin, did we get your mic figured out or no? No, now I just got a static Kelvin. All right, well, I think it's just you and me now, Marcus.
All right.
So let's get ready to wrap up the show. Any final words or any final thoughts that you want to add, Marcus?
Just keep moving forward. Well, first and foremost, congratulations to the graduates.
Yes.
All the folks who have played and represented FAMU well over the course of their careers. And just looking forward to rounding out the sports. We got baseball to finish up. Hopefully we have more softball after Sunday, track and field, and hopefully we have some folks qualify, with the times maybe for NCAA regionals. I know the last 2 years we've had those folks have moved on, have transferred, but hopefully the current team will continue that tradition of qualifying for the NCAA.
All right, good point. Glad you bring that up. Kelvin, let's see, give one more shot to see if Kelvin's mic comes up. Kelvin, you there? Give it a try. One last shot. Are you there? 3, 2, 1. Mic check, Kelvin.
No,
that's all right, Kelvin. I don't know. I think you tried. See, you tried something new.
He says Prairie View. Looks like it. So the track and field championships are Prairie View.
In Prairie View, okay. We're at Prairie View. Okay. All right.
Ooh.
Good deal.
So I guess the seniors are going to miss the graduation. The seniors on the track, they're going to miss graduation.
Yeah. That's that sucks. That sucks.
And even the tennis folks, depending on when, because they'll be up in Athens.
Well, if they win, yeah. If they win on Friday, yeah. But we only have one. I think we only have one player on the tennis program.
That's true. That's true. We have a young team
that's graduating. Hold on, I'm looking at the list now. Women's track and field has 4 young ladies. I don't see. Oh, men's has a handful, 6 of them, including Pache Caldwell. So he definitely won't get that. Maybe they'll let them. I don't even want to take time to try to figure out how that might work. Tough decision though when you got a SWAC championship on the same day as graduation. Maybe he'll get a chance to walk across the stage in the summer, even though he's graduating in the spring. I don't know, just a thought. But like you said, Marcus, I echo your sentiments and say congratulations to the new group of alumni that'll be joining the Family Alumni Chapter. We want to encourage you guys to give wherever you are and wherever you go. Give back to FAMU, even if it's a small amount monthly, $10, so we want to encourage that. And hey, this weekend I'm gonna be in Albany, Georgia. Anybody that's in Albany, Georgia that wants to see some baseball, we'll be covering the SIAC. It's also my birthday weekend, so I'm hoping Albany got some stuff to do. I'll be looking for some stuff to do this weekend, Marcus. Even if it's just a good steak or some good barbecue.
In Albany,
at the least.
I can't really. I've driven.
Any suggestions? Yeah, any suggestions in Albany or within a 30-minute ride of Albany? Any suggestions? Hit me up on Twitter at DRB365. Let me know what I can do up in Albany or within the 30-minute surrounding area. So that's going to do it for tonight's show. Obviously, we got to thank Coach Quinn Gray for coming on. Got to thank Lourdes Hemingway for joining the show. Thank all of you on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and for Kelvin Rozier. Hold on. One more. We're going to see. Maybe this will work. We got to, I'm still willing to fight for Kelvin. Let's see. Kelvin, hello. Speak. Sorry. Well, wave to the people, Kelvin. Wave to people for at least if you're watching the show. Kelvin is saying to strike, and strike again. if you're listening to us on the BCSN Pod Zone, well, that's what he said. All right, I got to get out of here myself. I got to hit the road in about 7 hours. For Marcus Green, Kelvin Rozier, I'm Brian Fulford. Make sure to find the show, the BCSN Pod Zone, in podcast format everywhere you listen and download podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, all that good stuff. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play and Apple App Store, and make sure you're following us, O&G StrikeZone, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up button. Hit it. Hit it. Like. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. And then be good out there to everybody, okay? Be safe. Be smart. Fangs up. And make sure to strike, and strike again. Peace out. Shout out to all the May birthdays. Happy birthday, everybody. We're out.
Oh.